Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to a brand new episode of Extraordinary Talks. For today's episode, I am beyond excited, so thrilled because I have one of my favorite candidates ever to ever compete in a beauty pageant. And of course, if you are here, judging by the title of the video, you know that I am guesting today Lalela Mswane, who is representing South Africa in Miss Supranational 2022, but also that we know, of course, from Miss South Africa 2021 as well as Miss Universe. So this is gonna be a friendly chat. We're just gonna get to know her a little bit better, her journey, her the lessons that she has learned along the way, and of course, I always hope that you guys find some sort of value in this type of conversations. As usual, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a like, a comment, and share with a friend. And I won't keep you waiting for much longer because I know that you guys are excited. So I will bring Lalela on the chat right after the intro. Okay. All right, everyone. Perfect. Please give it up for Lalela.
Hi, Ella.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, it's such an absolute pleasure, a dream come true to have you here. So let me ask you,
Oh
how
my
are you
goodness.
doing?
I'm good. I'm a little cold. It's quite cold in Johannesburg right now, but I have a heater behind me, so I'm good.
Oh, okay, perfect. For as long as you're, cozy and warm, then it's all good. Perfect. All right, so let me just start by saying, Lalela, I am so happy to have you here. You're honestly one of the most beautiful, most inspiring candidates that I have ever discovered in my pageantry journey. So I just have to get that out there, put it into the
You
universe. So, of course, we know that this year you're going to be representing Miss South Africa during Miss Supranational. So let me ask you, how are you feeling? What is your state of mind now ahead of the competition?
To be honest with you, I'm super excited. The last time I was this excited, I think, was before Miss South Africa, but also
Yes.
this level of excitement I've never ever reached in my life before. I think,
Mhm.
I don't know, it's quite cool that towards the end of my Miss South Africa reign, I get another opportunity to represent the country on a global stage, which is not
Yes.
really common. So I'm just like grabbing this opportunity with both hands.
Absolutely, as you should. I feel like it's going to be a very exciting journey and especially a very different journey because we all know that you already went to Miss Universe, but this time around
Uh,
it's a different pageant. It's a whole set of different things that they're looking for. So I'm guessing that you are preparing as well for that.
I am. It's very exciting. And this time I actually get a chance to prepare because for Miss Universe, I don't think people understood. I did not prepare at all for that competition. It was just like, yeah, let's,
Oh my God, just crossing fingers and going for it.
yeah. Let me put my phone on silent. Sorry.
Yes, of course, no problem.
There
In
you
the meantime, I'm just gonna say hello to everyone who has joined the chat and who is sending messages of love here for Lalela. Everyone's so happy to have you with us
Hi,
today.
guys.
So, I mean, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, of course, is because you did so Miss South Africa, then you went to Miss Universe, and now you are preparing for Miss Supranational. Pretty much, I would say like back to back. You had very little time in between
Yes.
pageants. So how do you manage all of that, the preparation, and of course, all the work that comes with it as well?
I think people that know me know that from a young age, I was used to being so busy. I didn't have a break to do anything. So the little time that I had, I knew that from this time to this time, I've got school. From this time to this time, I have ballet. From this time to this, everything was so planned out for a majority of my life that I thrive in such environments. I
Yes.
genuinely just, it's who I am. That's how I know how to cope. To a point where when I have a free break or spare time, it's almost very awkward. And I feel like I'm doing something wrong. So believe it or not, I enjoy the whole fast paced back to back. Yeah.
Absolutely. I can absolutely relate to that as well. I think it's the Virgo in me. I just thrive with like structure and routine.
Yeah.
So,
When's your
yes,
birthday?
for sure.
You said you're a Virgo.
September 18th.
I will not forget.
Oh, you're the sweetest. So let me ask you, because we know that Of course, going to Miss Universe, this is one of the most challenging pageants in the world, of course. So when it comes to mental preparation, dealing with the pressure of it all, how do you deal with it? How do you cope with all of that at the same time?
I think with anything I've done, particularly Miss South Africa, I just asked for peace and just knowing that if it has to do with destiny, that's what I've always believed. You can scream, you can shout, you can be the most prepared, but if it's not your time, it's not your time.
Mm,
So all I can do is just present the best version of myself, work as hard as I can to place myself in the best possible position to, be recognized as a contender by the organization. But if not, I know that I would have worked hard and it's just not my time. So I try at all times to just operate from a place of peace for my own sanity. For my own
mm.
sanity.
Absolutely. I think that's like the most important thing because when we talk about pageants and joining a competition, everyone goes automatically to the aspect of like the facial beauty, the physical beauty, the preparation and pasarela. But there's also like a whole layer of like, mental preparation as well and mental health and taking care of yourself. So
Yeah.
um, how would you say like you prioritize, for example, especially during these times of a lot of pressure and people, not only the pressure that you have, your expectation of yourself and the organization, but also the fans, like what the fans expect from you. Do you have a way to like differentiate those things or?
So what's funny is I think from entering Miss South Africa, I learned very early, right, that people will compare you to other people and fans will
Mhm.
love on you, other people will dislike you. And
Yes.
what is so important is while people may love you, and that's great, not to let that get into your head. So, with good and bad, like if I see something like the leaderboards, I appreciate leaderboards. And if I'm at the top, yay, great.
Mhm.
That'll never get into my head because I find that the danger with that is you put up a leaderboard and I'm first, right? So, in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm winning. I don't really have to work hard. Someone
Yes.
else comes and tells me, girl, you're nothing. That totally breaks me down and I'm like sad. So while I appreciate the good that comes from and the love from my supporters, I truly do. I don't
Yes.
think it ever gets into my head. Like I appreciate it, especially on days where I feel down. But I've just
Mm.
learned, with good or bad, I'm just trying to do my best. That's all. So that I
Yes.
don't feel pressure to disappoint people or, please people. I just, yeah, it's hard.
Yes, exactly. I love that. I love that. I feel like whenever the girls join a pageant, one of the most important things is they should really prioritize their mental preparation as well. Not just of, communication skills and all of that, but being ready to take the pressure and the critiques that will come with the pageant because it's part of it. But I also think there's a lot of learning that the fan community, like the pageant community needs to do in order to respect the girls and give them
Yeah.
space to really thrive, right?
Yes, I always say that. And I know sometimes it comes from a place of passion and love and excitement, but there's a fine line. We are
Mm,
people too. And one could argue, but you signed up for this life. You entered and you knew what would come with entering. Of course. But I don't think anybody signs up to be bullied towards a toxic environment, to live in that. So I do think, yes, be passionate. Yes, love on us. Yes, critique us. And a part of life is accepting critique as long as it's
mm.
constructive. You know,
Constructive, yes.
don't try to break me down. And if you have nothing nice to say, literally nobody has ever died from like,
I love that. I think that's one of the things that always comes to mind when I think of you is that you're a woman who really stands up for herself, and I love that about you because I see so many girls, for example, just taking the hit or going through it because everyone is just bashing them or they don't like them in the way that they would like to be seen. But for Lalela, it's always different. She's standing up for herself. You can see her really just giving her best at all times. Doesn't matter what the general audience might say about you. So I admire you for that. Respect.
thank you. I think where it stems from though is my childhood and being bullied
Yes.
a lot.
Mm.
So it just there came a point in life where I had had enough
Yes.
and I said, now it's time to fight.
Mm.
And I feel like last year after the whole Miss Universe thing, I had to sort of really reassess and reflect because now I was stuck in a space where, yes, be defensive, but I think I was overly sensitive.
Mm.
So sometimes I'd go on a live and someone would make a comment and I would probably misconstrue it. I think they meant something else. Purely was for the past couple of weeks, people were just attacking me. So all I was expecting
Mm.
was just attacks. So while I do acknowledge that I do stand up for myself, at times I have fallen short in terms of being overly sensitive and just,
Mm.
being defensive because it made sense for me. So I'm trying to unlearn that a little bit too.
Yes, of course. But I think it's only normal. It's only natural that, someone would sometimes feel sensitive in the middle of so much, pressure and people throwing things at you. Because what people forget is that because someone seems to be strong, it doesn't mean that they can take it all at all times. We're all
Yeah.
humans and we need a break. So yes, I hope that's something that the fans can keep in mind, especially for competitions where the girls already have a lot of pressure within the competition. They don't need the outside added layer of pressure as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Now let's talk a little bit about your Miss Universe journey. So I would like for you to tell me, coming out of that competition, what do you think is the biggest lesson that you learned as a person?
I've always known that I'm a very tenacious person, like I'm a very strong
Yes.
person, but I didn't know the degree of that. And I
Mm.
think Miss Universe came and really showed me, girl, you are strong. Sometimes when I watch the whole pageant and I think back, I'm like, what?
Yes.
I get that, me. But I think the biggest thing I learned was I'm very steadfast in my convictions, even if it means
Yes.
standing alone. I don't need support. Support is nice, it's amazing, don't get me wrong, I appreciate it in all aspects, but once
Mm.
I've made my mind up, I'm sticking to it.
Yes, absolutely. I would say your pageant journey, especially within Miss Universe, it's so inspiring for me. As I was writing the questions for this interview, I always like to give myself a little bit of context. So before I put the question, I always put like a little, like a few words for me so that I can introduce it. And I just kept on writing like sentences and sentences about inspiration and how, amazingly you did.
Oh,
But I think that it all boils down to the fact that with so many adversities, we heard the stories of, for example, like the government not endorsing your Miss Universe journey. And I think that at some point, even just before you went to Miss Universe, with the entire pandemic thing, it wasn't clear if you were gonna be able to make it into Israel. Like there was something like that. And I just thought this woman went through so much and still she made it and she excelled at it. So when you think of all of that madness, how did you cope with it? Because I mean, it's not just the competition; it's also all of the external factors and the media, the attention that came with that as well. So, how did you? How were you able to push through it?
I think living it, because I lived it, so I know my truth,
Yes.
versus what the media portrayed are two separate things. You must understand the media
Mm,
blows things out of proportion. They must sell stories,
mm,
but I won't say that or downplay it. It was difficult. But
yes.
I've always found comfort in the fact that you just said now, there was a whole thing about the pandemic and people not knowing if I'd make it or not. So when I talk about my journey, for instance, that I had left South Africa for Dubai a week prior to the new variant of the
Oh.
pandemic. Nobody knew I was not no longer in South, right? So I'm chilling in Dubai, getting my gown. Vanna was there, my mom was there. The little preparation I had was literally a week in Dubai. And then the end of that week, when I was in Dubai, they make this whole announcement: South Africa is banned from entering Israel and whatever. And then again, social media goes off. Yes, God is punishing her. She's not supposed to compete. And I'm sitting in Dubai like, mm-hmm. When you look at stuff like that, you think, I really
Yes.
was meant to be there. I think it was destiny. These things don't just happen. I don't believe they
Mhm.
just happen. So I found comfort in little things like that, knowing, okay, I am supposed to be here. I won't lie. Some days at Miss Universe, oh my goodness, I was just emotional. And some days I was just numb. I don't recall some days. I just sort of existed some days. And I
Mm.
was trying to be present, trying my best. But every time I went on social media, it's just like the worst of the worst things said about you. So, I mean, I would do it again 10 times over, but it
Yes.
was difficult. It was very hard.
I can only imagine. I mean, you had some time already since your Miss Universe journey. So when you look back at that, what is it that you think that triggered people so much into jumping into the hate bandwagon and to whatever the media is saying? They just follow it blindly without even questioning. Is this really Lalela? Because for most of it, a lot of the context, for example, that the government not giving their support, or people assuming that you were going to be late for the pageant, that you were not going to be able to make it, all of those things were outside of your control. It's not something that you personally can handle, or that the organization, the Miss South Africa organization, can handle themselves. So why do you think that people are so quick to throw it at you instead of just looking at the overall context?
I always respect how people feel, so I'll never ever demean how you feel. However,
Mm.
I always say social media enables herd mentality where it's easy for people to jump on this wagon without any context. It's almost like because it's trending,
Yeah.
people get buzzwords without any context, and they just assume or conclude that this is what is happening. The same way when I placed third, when I returned home, different context altogether. We knew you could do it purely because it's weird, but people are
Yeah.
like that. They just follow, just blindly follow. And I think that it was all directed at me purely because, not to demean myself, but it's easier to attack an individual. So I was a low hanging fruit as opposed to dealing with these issues of the nation with the government.
Mm.
So I'm an easier target. Obviously, I'm alone. Miss South Africa is an easier target. The organization, it's a private organization, as
Yeah.
opposed to going to our president and saying, we demand answers. Just aim it all at me.
Right, right. It's a clear message that spreads very fast in the media, and it just puts like the overall perspective out there. I get
Mm.
that. So let's say you make it into the top three, as we
Yeah.
said, against all odds. How did you feel at that point? I mean, I assume that it must have been like nerve-wracking, of course, but also I'm guessing that you had all of this in the back of your mind. Everyone was like saying that I wouldn't make it, that I couldn't make it, that I was not worthy of even making it, and here I am. So how
Ooh,
do you handle that?
let me start with top 16.
Okay.
Because I was called last.
Uh-huh.
And funny, when they called Singapore, because it's S, right? A
Yes.
part of me thought it was going to be South Africa, not because Miss Singapore wasn't deserving. She was definitely
Right.
deserving. Not to
Of
take
course.
anything away from anyone else. But because I was so desperate to hear my country being called, I actually moved forward when he said Singapore. And I'm like, okay,
Oh.
what's happening? Um, and then now it's the final spot, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. So in your head, you've already made up a top 16. Like the girls do this. Let's be honest. And I'm thinking, this one hasn't made it. This one hasn't made it. Like a lot of these girls I thought were going to make top 16 hadn't made it. So I'm like thinking, how am I going to make it? So
Yeah.
when he says South Africa, I couldn't breathe. I was just, everything became just so foggy. I couldn't believe it. And then every time I advanced after that, I promise I wasn't expecting it every single time. Every single time. And then all of a sudden, I just recall there's three of us on stage. And I'm like, what? How? Like, me? How? No preparation. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I'm here. I, yeah, no words. Yeah.
It was a blessing. It was just meant to happen. And it just
I
made
think,
sense. It just made sense. I can tell you, like, from the perspective of a fan, someone who was just watching the event live from home, and also like making content about pageants, like you get an overall like sense of what the pageant community wants. Like I feel people were happy for you. People were cheering for you. So it was just like a beautiful moment to witness. We're happy that you got to have that chance, of course.
thank you so much. No, it was spectacular.
Words. All right. Now, enough talking about the past. Let's talk a little bit about the future and what is yet to come. So,
Yeah.
Lalela is announced to be the candidate who will represent South Africa for Miss Supranational 2022. That also came with a little bit of controversy, people complaining. So, how did you feel at that point? Like, there were different perspectives. Some were like really happy, really cheering for you. Some were not so happy. So, can you give
Yeah.
us a little bit of like the reason why they decided to send you? I know that you have addressed this before, but just so that people, you know, they
Okay.
find it all in the same place.
Um, so as Miss South Africa, as would occur in the past, Miss South Africa could attend more than one pageant.
Mhm.
The only thing that would stop her from attending more than one pageant is if the times clashed, or I don't know, maybe she fell ill or something, occurred that didn't make it possible for her to go. And I think that's also stipulated in our contracts. Miss South Africa shall represent the country in international competitions unless she is unable to. So
Yes.
by virtue of me having won last year, I sort of feel like I'm entitled, but I have first dibs the right to represent the country at international pageants. And as determined by the organization, right? Yes, my princesses will have to do that on my behalf or, yes, represent the country. And because there was nothing stopping
Mhm.
me from going to Miss Supra, there are no legal matters standing in the way, no regulations, nothing that bar me from participating. The organization saw it fit that I attended Miss Supra.
Mhm.
Another thing that came into play was because Miss World occurred this year, the delayed Miss World occurred this year in March, it meant that by the time the new Miss South Africa and her princesses were crowned, then that would be the next time a Miss World would occur. It wouldn't make sense for any three of us, any one of us in my year, to then represent South Africa. It would be too back. They're trying to also catch up. With
Of
that
course.
said, I've got two princesses. Who are you going to pick above the other? Because if you recall, at Miss South Africa last year, they didn't say there was first, second, and third. It was first and second on
Mhm.
equal footing. So how do you then justify I'm going to send A over B or B over A when you said that they're all equal?
Yes.
So then it makes sense to just send me.
It just makes sense. It just makes sense,
Yes.
of course. Well, there you go, everyone. You heard it from Lalela. I hope that clears the air. But I feel like
Thank you.
the overall community, the ones who understand how it works, we're happy for you. We're so so excited.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Look, I'm a visual person, so I'm gonna show you a photo, and then we're gonna talk a
Okay.
little bit about it. It's about your evolution. Okay. All right. Here we go. So.
Uh-uh.
You look beautiful. So, I wanted to ask you, looking back at your journey as Miss South Africa 2021, then representing the country at Miss Universe, and now, I mean, this is a recent photo that I found on your Instagram, your preparation for Miss Supranational. Let me ask you, how has Lalela changed as a woman? How have you grown after going through all of these experiences?
I mean, let's start physically. I feel like such a baby. I feel like I've grown into my own. I believe in myself so
Yeah.
much more. I back myself. I
Mm.
think with my past and the bullying that I had to go through, there was always an element of questioning whether I was adequate, whether I was worthy, whether I was deserving of certain good things that came into my life. Today, I sit here knowing very well I am worthy of that and more, absolutely more. I've truly just stepped into my power and it feels amazing. I operate now from a place of stability, of security, of gratitude. Whereas before, I operated from a place of, okay, yes, you're good, but maybe not good enough. A bit of insecure, um, insecurity that existed. Of course, I do get insecure. It's a part of life. But for a majority of the time, I know not to be conceited, but I am that girl. Like I
Oh,
back myself.
she is that girl, an it girl.
You
We
have
love
to,
it.
right? have to
Yes,
back
of
yourself.
course. Absolutely. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't give yourself a chance, people will not do that for you on your behalf. So I love that. And I hope that people watching us are taking notes. That's so, so important. So thank you for sharing with us that perspective. Now, ahead of the Miss Supranational journey, people often ask, as we said in the beginning, different pageants. So I'm guessing different strategies. So have you adapted? Have you changed anything in terms of your, I would say like your preparation, but as you said, like you didn't prepare too much for Miss Universe, but approaching Miss Supranational, what is different this time around?
Oh wow. I more like what's the same? Like yeah, I'm still going to be myself because that's the only
Yes.
way I know how to be. But I just think presenting a different side. And I think I'm so excited because you'll be able to tell that through my overall wardrobe, the vibe of it all.
Mhm.
Everything has been well thought out. Everything is so intentional because
Mm.
I don't want, so my team and I didn't want a situation where it could be compared to Miss Universe at any given point, and at just I will be myself, just a completely different part of me will be,
Mhm.
shown.
Yeah.
I don't want to say what yet because I really want you guys to figure that out, but I'm super excited because I believe I have different parts to me, and at Miss Universe, and what I was going through at the time, one perspective of me was highlighted,
Mm.
and now I get to touch on this very lovely side, a side of myself I truly enjoy. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm very excited. Down to the makeup, the hair, the wardrobe, the gowns. Very different. Very different.
Being fully honest, I think that that's the only answer that I was expecting from you, because sometimes when girls go from one pageant to another, they will tell you, oh, I'm changing, like I'm gonna be more fierce, I'm gonna be more this and more that. But in reality, they crowned you for a reason. They give you the crown because they love who you are already. So, if you're playing with the makeup and the styling and the wardrobe, that's amazing. But we don't want you to change who you are, your
We
message, and
are.
your overall. Exactly.
Yes.
So I love that. I love that. Um, in terms of, let's say, the platform of Miss Supranational, what is it that you would like to do with the platform if you got the opportunity to work closely with the organization? Can you tell us a little bit about your advocacy and your hopes for this collaboration?
Awesome. Okay, I
Yes.
this for me is a very big part of why I am in the space I am in. This is for me where the true work is, and that makes me truly excited. So, in the country I'm from, in South Africa, unemployment is a very big thing. And prior to being crowned Miss South Africa, I was unemployed. I thought, okay, so I've got a varsity qualification and I'll get a job like this.
Mm.
And that's just not the case. Opportunities are few and far in between. And even if you do have an amazing qualification, you're not guaranteed a job. So I wanted to come from a perspective where we empower the South African youth to make opportunities for themselves as opposed to waiting for the state to assist us. It'd be nice if the state was able to assist all of us, but clearly it's our reality that that's not the case. So you can't sit back and just wait for that one day if it arrives where,
Yeah.
okay, now's your chance, go out there. Just getting people to feel empowered again. So with that, I started a campaign called hashtag Be Ready, where we have episodes that speak about different components of starting and retaining a business. Very seemingly basic topics, but that are often overlooked and that are so important to the establishment of
Mm.
a business enterprise. And it's just free information because it can get a bit daunting. You sit there and you've got this amazing idea and you're like, where to from here? So I just tried to simplify that and make it more accessible to make yourself feel empowered. So with that said, granted or given the Miss Supranational platform, I'd love to continue that work because I do believe that the issue of unemployment might be a South African issue that's quite huge, but not only in South Africa, global issue as well. But another cause that's truly close to my heart, being a female and all,
Yeah.
um, we go on our cycle every month and we don't choose that. And in certain countries, South Africa being a very prominent one in this regard, certain kids miss school because they're on their cycle and they don't
Mm.
have material, the tools, the means to take care of themselves when that time comes. For me, it's totally unacceptable that globally there isn't an umbrella or a uniform regulation that stipulates that sanitary products ought to be free. It's just, it should be that way. So I would like to end hashtag period poverty, granted the opportunity to.
I love that. I love both of your advocacies. I think they're so so important. Well, I think that so Harnas has been very vocal about this as well. So we know that it's a very timely thing, and at the same time, I think that it's really in 2022. I really struggle to still believe that this is a matter of equality at this point, and having access to something that is essential for women and for young girls especially, and to just make them feel like it's something normal about their bodies, because when you send that message that these products are not available, or not everyone has access to it the same way, then it kind of creates like this shame about it, or like this stigma around it. And I think that a
Yes.
lot of people grow up with that. So I love what you're doing. And in terms of the unemployment talks and making sure that people have access to the resources. I mean, I was just thinking, right? Because you're mentioning South Africa, but being from Canada myself, I'm Cuban, born in Cuba, living in Canada, and I know this is like an international thing. So if you were given that platform to be able to speak not only to the people of South Africa, but also just to the entire world, how amazing that will be to to spread awareness and to give them resources, because a lot of people have the abilities and the capacity, the training to get these jobs. It's just that sometimes they don't know how to approach the
Yeah,
opportunities.
yeah, definitely. I found that a
Absolutely.
lot because I actually wanted to launch a business before entering with South Africa. And
Yes.
I had an amazing idea. And now I'm actually going to do that because I have the tools, I've got the knowledge, I'm informed now. And I didn't know where to start. And I started with things that you end with. And
Oh, okay. All right, we are back. No. Okay, I can hear you now.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Stephanie was calling me, who is the CEO
Okay.
of Miss SA. Yeah. I don't know what I was saying.
So you were saying that before joining Miss South Africa, that you were thinking about opening a business about this.
Oh, yes. And now I feel so informed. And back then, I started with things you don't really start with. And I just felt so overwhelmed that I just ended up being so discouraged. I was in total despair. So I just said, no,
Mhm.
I'm not doing this anymore. And just imagine how many people are sitting with the most brilliant of ideas,
Mm.
but don't know how
Yes.
to go on about really putting that into motion and executing that. So I want to see this become so big, not only
Let's
for
do
South
it.
Africa.
Let's do it, everyone. Please just remind me of the hashtag so everyone can use them on social media. Please, please, please,
It is
everyone. Come on.
hashtag be ready.
Be ready. I love that. Thank you, Lalela. All right. So, if you were to get the title of Miss Supranational, if you get that crown, that will be the very first time for South Africa. So, what do you think that it would represent for the country, considering that South Africa is considered to be a powerhouse in pageantry? So, to obtain this crown, what would it mean for them?
I think not only is it the first South African, would it be? Look, I'm already speaking as if I'm crowned. um, okay. I think it would be the first Black Miss Supranational. It would be. So not
Yes.
only would it be the first in South Africa, but I think the fact that, racially it would be a first is very big. I mean, that would
Mhm.
make history. And any chance that I get to be presented or put in a position where I am, they believe in me so much as to put me in a position where I can make history for my country is
Yes.
truly humbling. But I also think it would represent a new beginning for South Africa and the Miss Supranational organization. And I feel personally a new beginning for me to change the narrative from what happened last year and,
Hmm. Yes.
coming out as a victor.
Exactly. I love what you said. I love about the fact that, it's not only the first for South Africa, but also for a black girl to win the crown of Miss Supra. But in terms of also changing the narrative, I think that it's I, I already believe myself that you are changing the narrative just by going and being so optimistic about it, to just being so positive regardless of the opinion that people might have about you, because it will be so easy for people to try to put you down and be like, no, she doesn't deserve to go to Miss Super, she already went to Miss Universe. But you're accepting this new challenge with open arms, and I think that's the attitude to have. I'm always, whenever I have these interviews, I always think of the people watching us. And even if you make it to Miss Supra and you get the crown, already the fact that you dare to try, that's remarkable. So I hope that people take that and they apply to themselves, in their everyday life.
Thank you. I always say it's about showing up. You
Mm,
just need to show up. Back
yeah.
yourself enough to show up, because only you know what's in your heart. And I never want to be in a situation where 10 years from now, I'm like, oh, I wish, or I succumbed to the pressure and the stuff that's being said on social media. Nobody knows my heart apart
Mm.
from me. So if I feel like something is in my heart and I truly want to pursue that, let me show up.
Of course, of course. Let me ask you. So I'm gonna ask the audience if there is something that they would like to ask you, to send their questions very really quickly
Okay.
before I wrap up the interview. But in the meantime, I would like to know, Lalela, now going into this new pageant. Of course, you went through Miss South Africa, you went through Miss Universe, you learned from the ups and downs. So this time around, if there was some sort of backlash, if there was some sort of negative, comments or anything on social media or the media overall, how would you approach it? How would you handle it?
Oh wow, I think my history and my experiences have shaped the person that I am today
Mm.
enough to know that I can't go around believing things that people who don't know me from above so say about me. It's not my portion. What people think about me is none of my business. You're entitled to your own opinion, and I love that for you.
Yes.
It's not mine to carry. Not mine to carry. Not my portion.
I love that she said, I love that for you.
I do. Like,
Yes.
perfect. If that's what you think, it makes you sleep at night, like beautifully, do that. I am not involved.
Yes. Of course. Perfect. Thank you so much. And I see already a very interesting question here. This one is from my friend Diana Yamas, and she is asking you, being considered a veteran in the pageant world, do you think this is an advantage or a drawback?
I've never been called a veteran in anything. Oh wow. Okay. I often tell my mom she's a veteran now. Okay. Listen, I think you, what's the word? Experience is priceless. I think how you view that being a veteran is all up to you. You can choose to see it in a negative or a positive light. I just see it as I've had so many experiences. I know now what I like, what I don't like, what I enjoyed, what I didn't enjoy, and what I can do differently to make this the best experience for me. So I definitely think it's an advantage.
Oh, I agree with you. I think that low key is an advantage.
Yeah.
Perfect. We have another question here from Damien, and he is asking you, have you received any advice from Miss Supra second runner-up, Dr. Tato?
Thank you for reminding me. Savannah's been on my case, said, call Tato, have coffee with Tato, have you called Tato? And I've just been so busy. I'm actually going to do that now. So this was a reminder. Thank you so much, whoever sent this question. I really appreciate you. Not yet. So I will meet up with Tato very soon. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. All right. And let me see. Any last question, guys?
This has been my favorite interview of all time. I promise you.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes, yes. It feels like I'm having like a chat with my best friend. And
oh, I love that. Thank you so much. You don't know how much that means. We really wanted to make this special for you and just very, allow you to give your own perspective of things rather than pushing the narratives that are already out there. There's so many stories and information about you, but sometimes I wonder when are people gonna just let her speak her mind, right? So that was the entire approach for this.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, of course. And I would like to say thank you so much as well to my friend and my collaborator and my partner for this entire thing, Salvatore Gaurav. He helps me a lot with the questions, coming up with, the entire structure for the interview. So we made this with love for you.
We love you. Thank you for being so
Oh,
kind. And you
thank you.
understand. I often walk into interviews and they would have sent me questions prior, and I'm thinking, okay, I know how to answer this, whatever. And we get there and it's a live interview on like television, and they just try to throw you under the bus, or it's,
Yes.
you know, I
Mm,
don't like that. Don't
of
like
course.
that.
I can understand that. The feeling of, not knowing who you can trust and who is going to try to, benefit from it. Because it will easily, throw questions and just make it awkward for clout or to get attention from whatever source. So thank you for your trust. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, I got so many DMs about you. People were like, please go on. He really loves you. And I was just like, I ignored for weeks. I ignored. I'm just like, nope, not doing it. He will not catch me
Yes.
sleeping. Oh,
Well, we got you awake, and I'm glad that we did. Perfect. So, okay, I'm just gonna pick maybe like a last question from the audience, and then I have my very last question for you.
okay.
Um, okay, so I like this question. So, all right, this is from Campo Vloggers, and they are asking you, what is your biggest accomplishment in sending love from the Philippines?
Oh, I love the Philippines. Please. Oh, oh, die. What's my biggest accomplishment in general?
Mhm. Yes, overall, when you think of your life, when you think of the pageants, whatever it is, your biggest
Okay.
accomplishment.
I always say that there's so many things. I've been blessed. I've been extremely blessed. Winning Miss South Africa, my placement at Miss Supra, yeah, there's a lot of things, my education and whatever. But one thing that I feel is my biggest accomplishment is that when my dad passed away when I was 12,
Mhm.
I said to myself, you have no room for failure. You need to make it in life.
Mm.
Because now my mom had 3 kids, so we were three at home, and she had to raise us single handedly. And for me, it meant no room for error. So even in varsity, when we had different modules, other learners would say, oh, it's fine, I can repeat this. I knew that repeating that is going to cost money. I had no room for failure. So my biggest accomplishment is obtaining my degree in the minimum time required. I've never
Mhm.
failed anything.
Yes.
And just being, I associate excellence to everything that I do. And the driving force behind that is that I know I have to make it in life because my dad is not here. I don't have the comfort of both parents. So anything that I've done has been done with intention. And because of that, I can say that the jobs I've booked, like modeling wise, my degrees are my proudest accomplishments because I know I did that and it was sheer will and just tenacity. Yeah.
Well, I, I just think that with all of your stories and your experiences in life, I think that that's maybe where your attitude of being that girl comes from, because you don't really had a choice, right? You really have to make a way for yourself and
Yeah.
open doors in life. Otherwise, no one was gonna do it for you. So
Yeah.
once again, I always think of the people watching this, and I think that's why I wanted to have you so badly. I was like, this girl, gold. She is it.
Oh, when are you visiting South
Girl,
Africa?
I'm trying to come like as soon as possible.
Really? It would be so cool
Yes.
to make it in August for the
Yes.
finale of South Africa.
Well,
Mm.
you never know. I might show up. Love it. Perfect, Lalela. So I just have my very last question. People usually ask about the crowns and what would it mean and all of that, and for your journey. But I really want to make it about you, and I want to get your perspective about this. So think of your journey, everything that you've been through, um, in your personal life, but also after joining pageants, going through the entire Miss South Africa system, Miss Universe, now preparing for Miss Supranational. If you were to win that crown, if you were the next Miss Supranational, what would it mean for you? as a person for Lalela, for the little girl struggling as a child and that now has, this huge and beautiful platform?
I think it would definitely just put into practice the saying. So there's a saying that the sky is the limit, right?
Hmm.
And okay, sure. But I've often said, I read somewhere, very young, I was very young when I read this, and I just thought, oh my goodness, how, right? And I thought, how, because of where I was in life. And it was, the sky is not the limit, your mind is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but how? Purely because of where I was. So I think winning Miss Supranational would show the 7-year-old girl in me that your thoughts truly are the limit. And absolutely anything that I desire and set, and everything that sets my heart on fire, I'm absolutely worthy of. I think that's exactly what it would prove. And not only to me, but girls like me. Not only black girls, not only
Mm-hmm.
girls, actually, kids,
Yes.
you know, globally. Nothing can actually stop you when you are certain about something and when you want something. Go out there, get it, you know? Um, yeah, I could go on and on about this, but I often say that when asked to leave, like my final thoughts, I always implore girls, but now I've actually changed it. Everyone to just pursue everything that's in their hearts, be unapologetic about it, and just to know that since the beginning of time, they've had everything within them to achieve anything they wanted. It's always been the world that convinced us we did not.
Of course. Wow. That was a mic drop. You're so good. Period.
Thank you.
We love it. Thank you so, so much, Lalela. This has been like honestly a dream come true. In the beginning of the interview, I will not lie, I was shaking under this table. But you are so, so amazing. You're so incredible. I'm so happy we
Thank
had
you
this moment.
so much. Thank you for having
Before
me.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. Before I let you go, I just wanted to ask you, ahead of the competition, how can we help you? How can the fans support you? Do we have any news about is it like gonna be a voting system, or how can we show you love and support?
I would really appreciate if I posted a Supra related photo for people to repost, share, do the most. And
Mm,
they will be voting for Supra Chat, and I am in group 3. So if
mhm.
people could vote for me, because then you get to advance to the next stage of the competition, I would highly appreciate that. And obviously to download the Miss Supranational app. So
Okay.
I'd appreciate that.
You already know what to do, everyone. Well, once again, thank you so much for this. It's been a dream come true. You are amazing. We came into this interview knowing that you were beautiful, facially and physically and all of that. But I'm leaving, falling in love with your mind and just with your personality, how you are as a person and your perspective in life. So thank you for
Thank you so
for
much.
sharing
Thank
everything
you.
with us. Mwah. As usual, everyone, thank you for joining us, for staying with us until the end. Go and show Lalela some love. And I will see you guys very soon for another interview. And until then, please stay safe, take care, and I'll see you in just a few days. I have some more interviews coming up. All right. Bye, everyone.